I loved the first season. I know you were lukewarm on it and you didn't really enjoy it. Hey. That was like some Spider-Verse stuff right there.
I'm so excited for Ki-Hoi Kwan. But between Doctor Strange and Loki, I don't really understand what they can and can't do. Really excited, finding myself excited again for the cast.
Welcome to Backseat Directing,
where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Aaron.
And we post new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And on this episode, we're doing a live reaction to Loki Season 2's trailer.
3, 2, 1.
Action. All right, here we are, Loki Season 2 trailer. I loved the first season. I know you were lukewarm on it and you didn't really enjoy it. Maybe this trailer will get you hyped for the second one, or maybe you'll feel the same way. But I think we should kind of just go ahead right into it. What about you?
I'm ready.
All right.
Trying to keep an open mind.
Believe you have the remote.
Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, play. Play.
There we go. You turn it down.
Bobby? Hello?
Nice.
We have a little bit of a situation we wanted to run by you.
Mobius! Wow! Great to see
Hey.
you again.
That was like some Spider-Verse stuff right there.
I'm so excited for Ki-Hoi Kwan.
Wait,
Most,
you know that?
my most anticipated part of the season.
Yeah.
Can you fix that?
No.
Can you fix that? No.
Ask for a time slip in the TVA.
I know, but we just saw it happen.
Yeah.
The glitch looked pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah, no, it looked good. The special effects look good.
Look at that.
Looks good.
Pulled through time.
Oh, the hair flip. Classic.
The past
It's funny too because it feels reminiscent of Everything Everywhere All at Once.
What I saw is true.
And they got Ki-Hoi Kwan.
And there's nothing to stand between this world and utter destruction.
Only one way to find out. A little good old-fashioned leg work. Listen, we have different styles. You're a man of action, which is fine. I take a more slow, deliberate, cerebral
Okay, I like all the
approach.
green. It's like key lime pie.
It looks really good, right? In terms of like composition, color, lighting.
It's up to us.
All the yellows there too.
Yeah, like each scene looks very well produced.
There's a really good a little duct tape on the mask.
We're playing God.
We are gods.
It's like
That's a good line.
The kind of stupid joke that I laugh really hard. See, like that's my thing is like, what can Loki do? Like, that like shadow power.
You choose. Who lives?
Oh, that guy's funny.
Dies. Make the hard choice. It's him.
Ooh, Miss Minutes.
On its way.
Was that like 2 full seconds of Jonathan Majors? That's it for the trailer.
Always have been. Always will be.
Okay. I mean, look, I'm not the biggest Loki fan, but the Tom Hiddleston line delivery.
Top, don't you think? I thought it was spot on.
I almost feel like he could be Bond. Like, could he be Bond, or am I tripping on that? Because I don't know if I love his look for it, but just like the way his vocal
He's
quality
smooth.
is so suave.
He's smooth. Yeah. He's got some swagger, you know, that he brings to his roles.
When he's like, always have been, always will be. I was like,
he's good at delivering these lines. Like even if they're like kind of simple lines, he's very convincing with them.
what do you think? I want to ask you about something that struck me during the trailer, which was Jonathan Majors being in it, not hardly at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what the original plan was, right?
Yeah.
Before all of this
Controversy.
drama happened surrounding him.
Yeah, I mean, I
like,
won't
was he
really-
supposed to be in it a lot? Was he? Did they do reshoots?
Dude, there were
Did they-
literally like multiple versions of him in the end credit scene of Ant-Man, like hinting at him, like at the end of Loki season 2. So, I mean, I won't speak to the controversy because I really am not like, I don't have a first person account of what's going on, but I'm curious to see when the show comes out how they're like playing their hand with this. They haven't made announcements how they're moving forward with Jonathan Majors.
They're obviously going to show him. I can't imagine them cutting out too much. I mean, they've already lost so much money recently. You know, like
Yeah, but they played it so soft on the trailer of like he's in that one scene with the Albert Einstein hair and like
yeah,
that's it.
So do you think he's going to be in it more than what the trailer's hinting, or do you think he's going to have like a real small role, kind of like he did in the first season?
I feel like Kang's whole thing is like being omnipresent, like they're the power of the society of Kang. So like I imagine he's going to be in it a lot.
Yeah, I think so
Has a bunch
too.
of different Kangs.
I think so too.
Like that's not even our main Kang that we were familiar with from the last season that we got to see in the trailer. So
Right.
there's gonna
That was
be a
the
bunch.
Kang at the end of Ant-Man, right?
Yeah, yeah. They showed
they
him
have,
like
like-
that little like it was like in the 1800s or something,
Yeah.
or like an old timey like technology reveal.
Right.
But there's also we got a glimpse in somewhere of all those versions of Kang, like the Pharaoh Kang and all of them. Was that?
Yeah, that was an Ant-Man as well.
Ant-Man also?
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm excited for this. Loki season 1 was kind of tied for first for me for the Disney Plus shows that Marvel's been putting out. I got Moon Knight right there with it. Moon Knight or Loki might actually be just above Moon Knight because of the lackluster finale Moon Knight had, where they basically just cut out the entire last fight. But I really enjoyed Loki. I thought he was quick. I thought the special effects looked great. Thought it was well produced, well written. And from the trailer, it looks like we're going to get a lot of the same. Now, you didn't really like the first season. Why is that?
I don't know. I have kind of a hesitance when it comes to characters with magic in general because I like to understand the world that I'm living in, and I feel like between Doctor Strange and Loki, I don't really understand what they can and can't do. So in any given situation, the writers, I think writers, it's good for them to have creativity, but I think there's just too much freedom there where you can just say, oh, then he used magic and he's out of the situation. So like I was saying during the trailer, when he started to use that shadow power, it's a power I don't think I've ever seen Loki use before. I've seen him like kind of freeze people or that giant green wave he does during the trailer. I want to see more of what Loki can do and understand more of what he can't do, because I just feel like scenario wise, there's just too much limbo. Like when that giant building falls in Loki 2, I was super hyped when he just like stops it with his mind. But like, okay, why is he fist fighting a bunch of guys with tiny little knives on the train when he could lift an entire building with his mind? So I just feel kind of lost in the sauce with Loki's character. Also, the story for me, I like the aspect of the relationship component, but then the ending felt really anticlimactic to me, just like that conversation with the one above all. I didn't really like the portrayal of the villain, the little goofy mannerisms that Jonathan Majors was doing as the one above all didn't really like sink in for me the way it might have for some people. So I don't know, overall left the season kind of being like, what really happened? Like, I like the creative aspects in the beginning when you get to the time variance association and everything. It's all really creative, and then I don't really have a good recollection of what happened in the middle because I feel like they lost my interest. And at the end, there was that cool moment where that alternate Loki like built the giant green city. But I feel like there's just these small shock factor moments that don't make up for like a general lack of my personal interest in the plot. Maybe the plot's still good, but they don't have my interest. Why do you think I should like it? I mean, maybe you don't think I should like it, but why?
Well, I'll talk more of like my point of view. I remember when my wife and I were watching this together, like, I feel like we were both on the edge of our seats, like each episode, you know, like it felt new. It felt like refreshed, you know, it seemed like something that we hadn't seen from the MCU before, you know, like each episode ended with like questions, you know, like that I wanted to get answers to, and also just the dynamic of all the Lokis hanging out and stuff, like and interacting with each other. Like I felt like it was different. It was new. I see where you're coming from
the
with
Lokis
the power.
hanging out with each other happened in one episode for like 15 minutes, I feel like.
Well, even with what's her name? What's the girl Loki? I forget her name.
If I liked the show more, I'd remember the characters' names.
But it's not Saki or Suki, or it's something like that, right?
I think it's with an S.
Yeah, somewhere like that. But their dynamic was really cool, and throughout the whole season as well. But I get where you're coming from with the powers. Like, it would be nice to kind of know his limits. Sylvie. It would be nice to know his limits. That way you maybe understand the stakes a little bit more. And then you know that like he's being creative to get out of these problems rather than just the writers like,
He
I
also
don't want to
just
say
seems
being
to
lazy, but kind of being lazy of like, oh, he's just going to solve this with magic that he's never used before.
Plus, he seems to escape death a lot, so that adds to that factor of like, do I have to ever be worried if Loki's going to die? Like, do I have to feel stakes if?
Yeah. Well, technically, this is an alternate Loki, so he did die. The Loki we know did die.
They just
But
create,
you're right.
create a different way to resurrect him. But yeah, I see what you're
for sure.
Because the Loki that we're to explain, in case anybody's doesn't have perfect recall for Marvel, the Loki we're dealing with in the television show is an alternate version of the Loki from Avengers 2012, who was sucked out of time due to the events of Avengers Endgame when the Tesseract like kind of tumbled into his hand. So he's like, they explained in Endgame that time travels kind of on a line, and when you alter that flow, it creates like a divergent path. So that's like a divergent Loki, basically, is how I understand it.
Yeah, it's all kind of confusing, right? Once they kind of got into this multiverse stuff, that's where it's probably pretty hard for a lot of fans to follow. But
That's something I wanted to touch on in this episode, talking about like the MCU moving forward. And I personally am continuing to feel like a growing lack of interest in the MCU.
I would totally agree. I mean, I think this will probably be the last Disney Plus show I watch for a while.
We're gonna get branded as haters. But what about Daredevil Born Again? Like, I feel like my hype for Daredevil Born Again is even pretty low at this point with everything that's been coming out recently. You would think we would be die hard on that train. Like you saying you're not probably gonna watch much after Loki season 2 is like, but when is Daredevil gonna be coming out with everything?
I don't know, man.
It's gonna be getting pushed back certainly.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to keep your hopes high, you know, when Disney's losing a bunch of money and Bob Iger's like talking about possibly selling Disney Plus and like all this other stuff. Like there's a lot going on right now that, you know, like if they couldn't even get this right while they had writers and actors. And
we
stuff,
should make
like,
sure to mention the strike too. And just mention the fact that we also support everything that the SAG-AFTRA and that WGA is fighting for. We want to express our opinion that everyone deserves to be paid a fair, livable working wage for the work that they're doing, especially when industries are making like profits hand over fist on the work that they're creating. We are not tied to studios. We don't do studio promotion, so we're not currently, from my understanding, doing anything against the requests of either of the unions, and that's not our intention. So we definitely want to just share our support for them, and we're reacting to a trailer. We're not doing paid promotion, which is the important difference.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure the actors as well, like still want their work to be seen, but they deserve, and the writers deserve to be paid what they're worth. You know, like I'm all for striking. I've always wanted to be a part of a workers' strike. You know that. I've talked to you about that before. You know, I love sticking it to the man. But yeah, I know Secret Invasions wasn't taken very well.
Secret Invasion was apparently the worst performing TV show for Marvel, for Disney.
Yeah, at least the lowest rated on like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. I heard that last episode was pretty bad. I hadn't seen it. I've only seen the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I don't know. I just wasn't that invested. You know, like I want to see an Iron Man story or a Captain America story or a Spider-Man story. Like Nicolas Cage is really cool, but I kind of like him as the side character. You know?
Yeah, it was recently. I remember reading this online too, but they recently divulged the budget of Secret Invasion. Which, do you know how much it was? You heard this?
I think it was like, wasn't it like 200 million or something?
Yeah, $212 million apparently, which is absolutely shocking because like some of these modern movies are getting made for less, and
not many of them, but some of them.
Yeah, some of them are getting made, 200, 180.
In perspective, Barbie and Oppenheimer both were around 100 million.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Plus marketing and all
Chris
that.
Nolan came out and said that Oppenheimer was closer to like 180, and I think Barbie was like closer to 150 than like some of the reports on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, like for this show to come out costing $30 to $50 million more than those movies that are like box office juggernauts and probably making very, very little money for Disney Plus. Like it's
think over the last 2 years, Disney Plus has lost 4 million subscribers.
That's insane.
that's a lot, right? Like we've been saying that from the bane of the existence of this podcast. Like, how do these streamers make money? It makes no sense, especially when they're making their own original content. Like
when they have like one thing coming out a week or a day, like
yeah, like it just, if they're putting in hundreds of millions of dollars into these shows, but people are paying a 5, 10, 15, maybe $20 subscription, like they're getting all of that each time. And normally people go and buy a ticket for each project, like it just doesn't make any sense. Like the Gray Man had a $200 million budget too. It's like,
where does
how?
the question for me is not only where does the money come in, but where does the money go? Because when you watch a streaming movie like Gray Man or a TV show like Secret Invasion, why are the special effects so much worse than watching Oppenheimer, which costs less, or Barbie, which costs less? Or I know they're maybe doing more special effects, but some of these things with lower budgets, they come out looking so much better.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think Secret Invasions looked that bad. The few episodes I saw, I was fine with it. I mean, I think part of it is expectations are a little too high.
There's a very clear, in my opinion, moment it's either the first or second episode where they're at the compound with all of the scrolls and somebody's like kneeling down and they look horrendous. Like the special effects look bad.
Yeah,
and part of it
I
is
feel
that
like horrendous is a pretty harsh criticism for it. And like, I mean, it's not.
Do you
Avatar:
recollect
Way
the
of
scene
Water.
that I'm talking about specifically?
Not specifically, no. But from the episodes that I watched, I didn't think that it was that bad. I sometimes I watch it through this perspective too of like, what could I do? Or like,
Yeah, but you don't have $200 million.
I know that's totally fair. But at the same time, like the stuff that they're doing in these shows is not easy. And like again, it kind of goes back to pay, and treating their employees properly. I mean, they probably had so little time to work on each of these special effects, and stuff. Like, I don't know. I have a hard time being like overly critical of a show's CGI. And like, I know like sometimes we nag at them, but I really didn't think it looked that bad. I'm not saying it's the best thing in the world. Like the Loki stuff, like all that looked great, didn't it?
I think viewers are entitled to a certain expectation when the company's paid $200 million, like they're entitled to give them a certain level of scrutiny based off like.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. I'm just saying for me, it's like, I don't know. I just didn't think
nice
it was
to give
that
them.
bad.
It's nice to give them the benefit of the doubt, but
I didn't. It was no Flash. Let's just say that. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's best. The Flash, you spend even more money.
like if that's the low of the low, like Secret Invasions is above that.
Yeah, but circling back to Loki season 2, I am really excited, finding myself excited again for the cast because, like, I know everyone was really pumped up for Owen Wilson to be joining the cast when season 1 came out, and now we've got Tom Hiddleston, Owen Wilson, and Ki-Hoi Kwan, which is like that in and of itself is enough to carry me through a couple episodes of the show. Like I'm gonna go into Loki season 2 to watch it because I'm still riding the high from last year of EEAO and Ki-Hoi Kwan's performance in that Best Picture winner, and I want such good things for him. I think he's so funny, he's so charismatic, and then like the physicality that he can bring to his roles if given the opportunity. I really want to see how they use him in this, and I'm just excited to see like. Yeah, I feel like he's just got such a like friendly, enjoyable smile, and like the little bit that we got to see of him in the beginning of this trailer, I was like grinning ear to ear the whole time. So I can't wait for those three, even just that one scene, to see them perform together.
So are you gonna watch this?
I'm gonna start it.
Okay.
I quit Secret Invasion so fast.
Did you only watch the first episode?
I watched the first 2.
First 2? Yeah, I think I'm right around there. Maybe the third. I can't remember, to be honest.
Which, like, there was a time where I would have never quit any Marvel project. I would have been like, this is bad, but I gotta watch it anyway.
Yeah.
And now after just all this time, it's starting to catch up with me, you know?
Yeah, no, same. Like, I'm kind of over Marvel. You know, I feel like they've told all the stories that I've wanted to know.
It's
like
frustrating because like I don't want to be a hater, and everyone compares like new age Marvel haters to like the OG Star Wars fans like hating on the prequels, like, but I kind of feel like I get where maybe they were coming from now, because it's something we grew up with. I mean, I was 9 years old when Iron Man came out, so like we grew up with the MCU and it holds a special place in our heart. We would go to the theaters and be so excited for those movies. So like for something to come out that I mean, it might be going a little far, but to say it's almost devaluing that brand by just continuing to put out new stuff.
I mean, you have the 5, 6 main characters not there anymore.
Which the thing is though, there's comic book characters, they're not new, but new to the MCU that could revitalize that and be the new foundation like pillars. But now at this point, when I'm hearing like rumors for castings for the Fantastic Four, I'm like not even excited anymore. Like I could hear rumored X-Men castings, I'm not even excited anymore. I mean, you hear that Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine, and of course, my head almost hit the ceiling. That's incredible.
Until the writer's strike,
and
all this other stuff
downhill.
that's like running into their production.
Like, I'm having a hard time getting the excitement level for like the Fantastic Four and like if there's going to be new X-Men and stuff. Just at this point, the world, we were excited to see people enter this world. We were like, oh my gosh, like Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be in the MCU now. But now it's like, the world is losing its luster. So I almost kind of wish that they had restarted after Endgame, which is like, it's easy to say that looking back,
Yeah. I feel like it would have been nice for them to maybe kind of take a few years off, give us some like Elseworld stories, if you will, and then like kind of restart a new cinematic.
They kind of went, we're just going to hit the gas even harder.
Yeah.
And it seems like I think Bob Iger did make a statement that they're going to, or maybe it was Kevin Feige actually, but that they're going to try to slow down and like prioritize quality over quantity. And their slate is kind of being forced to do that too, with all the way they're having to push products. But I think they showed us with Blade, with the way that they were like, no, the script isn't any good. We're gonna start back at the beginning. I think they're kind of showing us that effort towards quality. So like, even when they make that statement, it takes years for the projects that they're working on to catch up to that goal, because they've already got all this other stuff that's finished and in the works.
I don't know if the Blade stuff is a win though. Like, yeah, sure, maybe they're trying to fix it, but like, they let it get to that point.
It was a mistake. Yeah, you shouldn't have Kevin Feige reading that script like
a week before production starts or whatever it was. Like, that's freaking insane.
Yeah,
like
that was a big red flag. But hopefully that was the kind of red flag that's like, hey, let's like change how we're doing things here.
Hopefully.
But I feel like before I forget, I want to do the announcements of the information for Loki season 2.
Yeah, let's do it.
So hopefully you've listened this far to hear it. But Loki season 2 is coming to Disney Plus. Like we mentioned, the first episode is going to air on October 6th. They're going to be airing weekly episodes, and that is the main bulk of the information that I have at this point. I know that initially. Two things. But initially this was announced at the D23 Expo that we covered a long time ago, that the show was going to come out in summer of 2023. So obviously Marvel and Disney have been having a lot of problems that they've had to push it back this far to October. But it seems like they're on track with Loki. I think they're really questioning the concept of the TV shows in general. So we'll see what we get when it comes to Echo and Daredevil. But I mean, I
forgot all about Echo.
We've been questioning the profitability of these shows for a long time. You know?
Just these networks in general.
I think they're just burning money.
Yeah, and the fact that like they have no like concrete way of like tracking anything, at least how they show everyone else. Like I'm sure they're fully well aware of where all their money's going.
Disney Plus should be a place for their movies to come out after they've been out for like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
maybe even longer, like
to ensure the survivability of that movie in theaters. You don't want, because I've heard so many people honestly say,
oh, I'm just going to wait until it comes out on streaming.
I'll see Guardians 3 in a couple months.
Yeah.
I've like people who are like big Marvel fans.
Yes.
Because the
people that we've had on this podcast that are like diehard Marvel fans just saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3 like a week ago.
Yeah, it's crazy because I mean we
would all go to the premieres.
Yeah. We love the theater experience. That's
a
big part of why we go. It's not like necessarily to see it sooner.
I mean, there's definitely movies that I've skipped out on because I was like, oh, I'll just see it in streaming.
Yeah, it's a major bummer the way that it's like affecting like the movie experience. I mean, it's a bummer to me. It doesn't matter to everyone, I guess. But I feel like this is a big part of keeping the movie industry alive. I mean, how long can Marvel movies survive if it was only Disney Plus? Could Marvel movies survive? Would they be any good?
Or even like, okay, you have it in theaters for 6 to 8 months, and then on that streaming network, whichever one owns it, you can rent it for a certain price. Like
still be a little bit of a deterrent to be. I might as well go see it in theaters.
Yeah, exactly. And then a year and a half later, then it comes to streaming for free. But then why are people going to why are people going to buy the streaming service?
Yeah.
So like they've got a lot of figuring things. They got a lot to figure out. You know what I'm saying?
I think it would have been more wise of them to let Netflix sit in the red on the streaming market and just license out their properties to Netflix and Hulu. And there was like, 3 popular streaming services. Instead, like everything had to climb on that route. And now we've got Paramount Plus and HBO Max and Disney
Yeah, well,
Plus.
like all these studios, they used to have very profitable TV stations, channels. And now those are kind of dwindling. So what are they going to do? I mean, I don't really care if a multi-billion-dollar studio is hurting, but I want to be able to see like cool projects, that these directors, writers, actors, and all these people have created. Like,
yeah, I mean, we need that symbiotic relationship. We do need them to like, I know you said like, yeah, we shouldn't be like trying to protect the studios, but at the same time, we need them.
we want to protect the medium.
We need the studios to support the artists and everything,
Right.
because their distribution and their production is what enables these things to get made.
Could you imagine how dull life would be without movies?
Mine would be bleak.
Like, what would we talk about?
The weather. But
What kind of podcast would we have?
Speaking of love for movies, I do feel like what you said about the production, the composition, the color, everything that they're showing on the camera in the Loki trailer.
It looks so good, man.
It does look like it has that love and that touch. Like even just looking at the thumbnail for the picture, like I really like that background of the
Ceiling tiles.
the alternating colors. Like it kind of almost reminds me of like portals, indoors
Yeah.
because of the way that some are like openings. But I think that
It looked like it had really cool set design.
yeah, it does look really cool. They get really creative with it because they're in the TVA, so it's like an alternate dimension. It's like futuristic, but it also has like these old timey antique nature to it. Like it's like a 60s-esque feeling, but also like futuristic technology. So that's really fun. And I like the bright blues, the purples, the greens, the yellows. It looks like it's going to be like hopefully a feast for the eyes. I just hope we get a lot of action. I want to see Loki fight. I feel like this shows a lot of talking, and I feel like the shows have to fill the empty space with talking when we watch these shows.
Yeah, I want it all to be motivated, like Daredevil. Like
I love the talking.
it's
in
just
Daredevil.
it's all
the
with
motivation.
purpose.
Yeah,
Right. Man, gosh darn it. We wanted this episode to be like 10, 15 minutes, but we just are so passionate about this stuff. We can't stop talking. If you've made it this far, we really appreciate it. Are you going to watch Loki season 2? Let us know in the comments. Did you like Loki season 1? Also, let us know in the comments.
Pick a team.
Yeah, we'll talk back and forth with you down there and debate why it was a good show. Maybe you didn't like it, and we can debate about that as well. We have merch you can check out on our Etsy page. That link is going to be in the description. Wearing this shirt here. You can go ahead and get that. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're almost at 500 subscribers. Maybe we are by the time you see this. Maybe we're not. So hit subscribe. That'll help the channel out. We are at our 1-year mark here pretty much. So the month of August, 1 year of doing this podcast. And I'm very excited that we're going to keep going after this. So thank you, everyone, for the support. And that's a wrap.